Hi folks, you're with Tassus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about envy and how it works in, or can often work in, with other things such as, well, jealousy, of course, but also pride and conceit. And there'll be sort of a couple of like sub chapters in this as I go along. I'll relate it to a personal experience quite some years ago, more than 15 years ago now. There was I was working I was like vice president for a firm, and we were doing business with a much larger firm, but quite a big multinational, and they had an office in Australia, and they asked me to come to a meeting. We were doing business with them, and I was talking to like the executive vice president, and I never thought much of these guys. They were more like bureaucrats than businessmen, and they would rarely start work before 9 o'clock, and come 5 o'clock they were out the door, and they just didn't seem to want to go out of their way. I thought them sort of almost lazy, but hey, they were we were like we're doing business with them, so my private thoughts I kept to myself, and put a brave face on it all. So one day when they asked me to come over, the guy waiting for the right moment in the meeting, you kind of tell there's a kind of a pregnant overhang in the discourse, and he said, "Look, we've got like a junior vice president gig, and are you interested? Would you like it? If you want it, it's yours," type thing. And so I thought, well, gee, do I actually want to do this? Now, he's a guy that guy, the executive vice president guy. If he came to me for a job, I wouldn't hire him. He's just low energy. He, in my view, was lazy, and didn't seem to really care. It's like he was a passenger just picking up his paycheck. Now, given my age at the time, I'm a little bit older now, and I look at it. Well, his skill was getting on with the people above him in the power structure. That was his skill. He really didn't have any other skill. That was pretty much it. And I'm sure he was handed in his reports on time, and made sure he turned up at every meeting and nodded and agreed with everybody. And but that in itself is a skill. So he had that, but he didn't have much else, and maybe nothing else. So he sort of threw this at me and said, "Well, if it's yours, if you want it, it's yours." And no, I didn't take it any further than that, so I don't know. Maybe there were other hurdles to jump, or maybe there was a black lesbian HR manager that I'd have had to get past. I don't know. But given his seniority in the company, it was probably real, and he probably could have made it happen by filling out a form and that sort of thing. So, but I didn't. Well, do I want to work for a guy who I really don't think much of? Again, I wouldn't have employed him if he'd come to me for a job. I wouldn't have dreamed of offering him a job. So that's what I thought of him. Not that I didn't like him. I mean, he was a nice enough guy, pleasant enough, polite and all that sort of thing. But so I thought about that. Then I looked at the people who were sort of at that divisional general manager, junior VP type level that were in the company, and I'd met a few of them, and I thought wow, why would anyone give them a job? Actually, no, it wasn't that bad. I'm being a little harsh there, but again, I didn't think they were much shocked to be at that level. If they were, junior in the overall scheme of things, fine, but at that level, I thought they'd been over promoted. Not as bad as it is today with the race and gender quotas, but back then, relative to the general talent that was around, they weren't much chops. So I thought, okay, well, I'd be, if I accept the job, I'm going to be reporting to a guy who I wouldn't hire and who I really don't think much of. And also my peers, the people at the same sort of managerial level that I'd be at, there's very few of them I think deserve to be there. Now, I don't know if that was pride or conceit or maybe even a slightly sort of haughty attitude to things, but haughty as in hoity-toity. I looked at other side of it. So, I was working long hours where I was, and so there'd be less travel. There'd be, not having to work 70 plus hour weeks nearly every week. And so I thought, well, gee, that's a plus. So I can look at that. They were paying a little bit better actually than I was getting, not much, but a little bit. So there was a little bit more money, but much less stress and less hours at work. Been no problem getting out the door at 5 in the afternoon, none. Whereas the place I was at, if I got out the door at 7 o'clock, I was lucky. So there was that. So I weighed it all up, and in the end, I sort of, I'm not sure you call it pride necessarily. My pride got the better of me, and I thought, no, I don't want to do that. I'm where I am now. I'm sort of making decisions. I'm not a bureaucrat. I can deal directly with design engineers and that sort of stuff. And I'm making things happen, and feeling like I'm achieving things. Whereas at that place, I'd have just been a bureaucrat, effectively, just going through the motions. But again, for slightly better money. So putting that in perspective, I turned the guy down. I'm better than that. Gee whiz, I want to work for someone or report to someone who actually knows what the fuck they're doing, and do exciting work together, that type of thing. So I turned it down. He was a little surprised. I thought you'd take it. And, is the money a problem? Shall we go? We can do a little bit better on the money if that's the issue, and that sort of thing. No, it's not that. So that was it. Now, just coming off that and coming now to envy, that there are people that I've been envious of, in a sort of a superficial envy. Like I thought, well, gee, I wouldn't mind having a beach house like they've got on a great beach with a private jetty and a boat, and I wouldn't mind some of that. I wouldn't mind driving the car that they drive. That would be great. And other people for sort of different reasons. I wanted what they had, or thought I wanted what they had, but wanting what people have and wanting the life that they lead are two different things. There was a guy who I thought he was making, must have been close to twice what I was making, and I was doing all right. So, but he had this really nice house in a very very upmarket postcode. But one of his kids committed suicide. Another one is like this very fragile homosexual who's sort of off on Prozac and all sorts of medication, just trying to hold it together. Another one of his kids won't even talk to him. His wife's a nervous wreck, and so on. And I think, well, gee, I wouldn't want that life. I wouldn't want those things. So I'm happy to have the nice house and the nice car and the boat, but I don't want the life he's got. I don't want those sort of things going on. Now, to what extent he caused those things or contributed to them or whatever, I'm not exactly sure. But another one, a guy again, very prestigious job with a very prestigious company, and nice house, nice car, and all this sort of stuff. But his son got some very rare disease and died. It just wasted away and died, and they had to sort of watch it happening. And the daughter sort of was married 3 times before she was 30 and was in all sorts of dire straits doing drugs. And so, gee, well, I'd like the nice house there, but I wouldn't want that. So as you go through people's lives and look at their lives more closely, then you sort of see a situation where you want to only pick little bits out of their life, such as the nice house, the nice car, or the nice boat, or the money, or something like that. But do you want to pay the price that they're paying to have those things? Assuming there was a trade-off along the line somewhere there, and probably not. Nobody wants the sort of life that these people had. The personal life. There's another one. It's a politician who I knew a little bit. I admired his confidence and his poise, and he delivered great speeches. And I thought he's like, wow. I wish I could be like him. Have that level of self-assurance and that command of issues and so on. But again, his one kid's committed suicide, another one's in prison for drug dealing, and another one's had been a drug addict, in and out of drug rehab. That's his kids, and so, well, I don't want that. And a lot of unsavoury things have come up since he's died, about some of the other things he was up to, and so, well, I wouldn't want to be like that. But so you look at envy and jealousy and all the other sort of things that go in and around it, and in reality, I don't think it's often we'd actually want someone else's life. We may want the trinkets they've got and the money, but we wouldn't want the other stuff. A lot of people have to sell their soul to rise up in say, political office or anything, in any area. Not everyone has to, but many people do. There are very few people that achieve success just through their own raw ability, energy, talent, hard work. There are some, but very few. Most people do it as their useful flunky or stooge for someone who's got real money and power, and that's how most people achieve some modicum of what we might see as success. And it is a bit of a buzz, sort of always on planes and running around in meetings with other, wealthy people, and making things happen, making decisions, and all that can be a bit of a buzz, but it's a price. It's a price you have to pay in other areas of your life. Not enough time with your family, maybe not enough time with your children, or not having any children, not having any family, things like that. So when you look at the politics of envy, where minorities and black people are do you have a beach house in a fantastically popular beach? You don't. Well, that's it. You haven't got social equity. There is not equality here. You don't have social equity, and until everyone's got a beach house in a great suburb with a top of the range Maserati in the driveway and a hot babe, until everyone's got that, then there is no equity in society, and everyone's unequal, and equity is that's what we got to have. So it's the communist message, and that's what during the Allende, Salvador Allende vote that brought him to power in Chile, the Cubans and various other activists got busloads of the dirt poor peasants from the inner areas of Chile, and drove them around the richest suburbs of down around Viña del Mar, and the richest suburbs of Santiago, and showed them, look at these fantastic houses, these mansions with swimming pools and hot babes everywhere around the swimming pools. You look at that. You can have that. You can have, if we have a communist government, you can have that as well. Those people, they've only got it because they stole it from you. They stole your money, and all the work you do make sure that they have that house. Now, it's a very simple message, and for simple people, they go, yeah, I want that fucking beach house. I want that hot shit car. I want that yacht. I want those hot babes, and so on. So it's a very simple message, and it's one that goes on. But this is what the globalists are doing to keep the and this is why they're stuffing as many black and brown people into the West as they can, to create this social tribal division. You don't have the fancy houses and the bits. You don't have these great jobs, so we'll just take it from them to give to you, and then equity is achieved. So through that, they're, of course, crushing white people, but not really elevating. They're not really elevating the minorities people. They're just taking black lesbian morons and saying, look, we'll give you the job as president of this or vice president of that. But that they haven't earned it or achieved it, or haven't worked for the degree that they're given, or the PhD. And so it's not really equity at all. It's far from it. And if you look at when the Soviet Union collapsed, or Eastern Europe, a lot, indeed the majority of people who had senior, they were apparatchiks, had senior heavyweight jobs in the communist parties. They lost all those jobs. They had actually no skills. They hadn't earned those jobs. They'd just been loyal communist stooges and flunkies, and that's why they were given those jobs, and their degrees were given to them, and their prestigious offices and houses, all that sort of stuff. So people who were living, high on the hog, just because they were good ideological little communists, had actually no skills. And we're seeing the same thing in the West. The people are being elevated and motivated by envy. I want what Whitey's got. Whitey's got houses. Yeah, but Whitey works hard. Whitey studies hard. Whitey works his 70-hour weeks. Whitey does a lot of things to get that house. No, I don't want the hard work. No, I don't want the hard study. No, I don't need that. I just want the fucking house. And so the reality is they don't want the life of hard work and industry and hard study that is essential to getting the houses and getting that lifestyle. And what creates, and it makes all of us richer. All of us get richer by people working hard and producing things that are useful to the rest of us in the economy, whether it's goods or services or whatever it is. So that's kind of my take on the overall thing. The politics of envy is ultimately destroying us. Now, the globalists think they're being really smart there because they're crushing Whitey. So you crush Whitey, and wow, that's their objective. And like all dumbass bureaucrats, the longer it takes to do it, or the more difficult it is to do it, they just come back with heavier and heavier doses of brute force, and that's going to solve it. Collateral damage, who cares? And this is what's going on now. And so it's going to lead us to a very dark place, a much poorer place, a much angrier place, and a place where hardly anybody gets on. And that's not good. And for some reason, there's barely a politician in the Western world that's standing up against this. It's very sad. That's my take on it. You've been with Tassus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.